All right, everyone. I think we're getting ready to start the event. All right, everyone. Welcome to this event of EON Reality Active Learning in XR. My name is Rickard Steiber. I'm going to be your host tonight or today. I have a long background in VR and AR. I had the privilege of working with AR and VR at Google, at Modern Times Group. I had the privilege of joining Vive in the early days and launched the App Store and rolled it out around the world. So today, I work as an investor and board advisor to primarily XR companies. I'm an advisor to EON Reality, but also board member of a company called Health Scholars. So we have an exciting lineup of speakers for you today. We're going to be listening from people, prominent people from Harvard Business School, from Apple, from Magic Leap, and we're also going to listen from Academy Award winners of the movie Matrix. But in addition to that, you're also going to be listening to voices from the vast EON network around the world. So a lot of educational partners and organizations are going to talk a little bit about what they're up to when it comes to XR and EdTech. So I can see that we actually are over 1,000 people, at least. I can't really count now, but over 1,000 people joining from all around the world. So please take the opportunity to use the chat function. So write your chats, and then the EON team will do their best to answer their questions, or we'll do that at the end. But before we get into the main program, what is EON Reality Platform? Let's have a look at the 8.4 release and a sneak peek of what's coming in the 9.0 release. Let's have a quick look.
At EON Reality, we're proud to announce the release of EON XR 8.4 and also share a sneak peek at our big upcoming release of 9.0. EON XR is a knowledge content platform for creating and sharing instructive material that can be accessed on the web, a mobile app, or a wearable headset. With 8.4, we're introducing a new lesson type, starting with VR. In addition to the existing types of 3D objects and 360 environments, we're now including 3D environments as a new and unique format for education and training. 3D environments will allow students and trainers to be inside the lesson with complete freedom to move around and interact with the settings and the objects within as they follow along. 3D environment lessons will utilize the same EON XR workflow, allowing organizations to import their own models and add custom contextual information, all without any coding required. With the upcoming release of EON XR 9.0, we'll be announcing some major developments, but here's a sneak peek at some of the advancements to come. With the full power of Unity, we're now using physics-based rendering to make your subject matter look better than ever. The textures, real-time shadows, and HDR reflections all add to the photorealism of the experience. At the same time, we've improved performance and load times are significantly faster. When launched in augmented reality, surfaces even now reflect the real-life environment around them, as if they're right there in front of you. Along with the visual improvements on the 3D model, we're introducing a completely new user interface. The new controls function faster and they're more subtle, keeping all the focus on the subject matter. Stay tuned for the 9.0 announcement and join us on April 28th for an XR Industry virtual event. Speakers from Apple, Magic Leap, and more will discuss the future of EdTech. Reserve your spot today and we'll see you there.
And the good thing is, if you just saw that, you are here and are able to experience that. So I'm extra curious about the 9 release, and we have John Green here to tell us a little bit more about the details and some of the exciting things that you can expect. Over to you, John.
Welcome, everyone. My name is John Green, Customer Success Manager at EON Reality. Today I have the privilege to share with you a sneak peek into the highlights of our EON XR 9.0. I'll kick things off with a short demonstration and then talk to you about the new enhancements to our lessons, giving learners a much more engaging user experience. With that, I'm going to log right into my mobile device and just navigate for a bit, show you the new enhancements, the new look and feel as I move this object around. I have all my interactive tools. I can disassemble, add those annotations, see an X-ray vision. All my lesson annotations will be on the right-hand side where educators can create these engaging experiences, adding audio, video, and recording their own voices. On the upper left-hand corner, I can switch this on over into an AR mode and put this object right on my desk. As you can see, the shadow effects, and as I rotate the object around, giving learners this much more engaging look and feel to that model. On the right-hand side, I can select different components, even adding this one-to-one scale effect, and coming right back into that touch mode. So I just wanted to show you that on the device. And now I'm going to log in and show you the different new enhancements we have to the environments that we have. EON XR has long provided users with lifelike 3D models in 360 environments, but the new improved interactive VR environments combine the best of both worlds. Now users are able to navigate through an environment and have multiple lessons in one single space as you move around and come in contact with these environments and the objects. Here you have your interactive tools. You're able to engage this in such unique ways there and interact with these objects. Also the ability to have an object in AR mode right through your mobile device. As you can see, I'm in my backyard. I can see the flowers there, but I'm overlaying a kitchen right in my backyard. As I walk around this space, I can take a peek. There are the flowers. Just notice the realism and the different shadows. I can get closer to that stove, peek in, we'll see what's cooking, and walk around this space and giving this a realistic feel to your lessons and your content. Also the ability to bring in environments. Here's a hospital room, but very much could be a factory floor, a lab, and the ability to move around, use those interactive tools, look around. I can even back out. I can slice this environment in half, get closer, even hover up and over around that environment. So lots of ways we can interact with these models. Just take a look at the new visual quality, the real-time shadows. As I get closer to that object, I can see how the light has an effect on that. I can move this around in different ways, just giving a much more realistic look and feel to your lessons and your 3D models. Also notice the real-time reflection off that AR asset that you have here in yellow. You can see how that reflects off those objects. As I rotate this around, you can see that giving that new feeling of realism to your objects. We have a new revamped UI, an improved animation panel, again faster in loading speeds for your learners, just improving that overall experience. The ability to change different environments and still stay on the same lesson will be able to keep your learners much more engaged throughout the lesson. Also, you continue using those interactive tools in such unique ways. Here you can look at your model and see that X-ray vision. You can take this apart in different ways. Again, maintaining that engagement level throughout the lesson as learners explore this content. The new 3D annotation is very exciting. As you can see, as I get closer to that object, I can look at the annotations, and the annotations actually get bigger as I get closer and smaller as I get further back, giving that realistic perspective there of those annotations. The ability to record in 3D, add your own voice.
Or nicknamed Percy, which is a car-sized rover designed to explore Mars as part of NASA's Mars 2020.
You can see that in AR mode. I can point exactly where I want my learners to focus in on, just make it much more engaging. The physical-based rendering to an environment. So as you walk around the space, just notice the shadows, the effect that it has on the walls and the object as I go from one side to the other, the light source, where it's coming from, just giving that realistic effect there of being in that environment. Also the ability to have multiple lessons in the same environment, where I can access my institutional library, look at the categories that has been preset by my instructors, select a lesson. So all that is part of the experience. Physical-based rendering to an object. Again, look at the shadows, those effects there on the new UI interface. Interactive 360 images, much more realistic. As I spin around, again, as a creator, I'll be able to create all my lessons, annotations around this space, maintaining a very interactive experience for my students. Well, hopefully that gave you a good sneak peek and some things to look forward to in the new release. But I want to announce a sneak peek. This is a preview. So this is available for you today. I encourage you to go into the Google Play and download this app. You can type in EON XR, Early Access, and download this or scan the QR code. Also available on the Apple Store by clicking on this link or scanning the code. Again, it'll give you that sneak peek into these exciting new features that we're going to launch for the 9.0. Thank you very much for your time.
That is super exciting. I can't wait to try that out myself. I definitely want to have that rover in my backyard. But actually, it's kind of interesting how the more sensors that we use, the higher the recall is. And I think that these new tools will give us an opportunity to create a much more engaging environment for our students. But augmented reality is kind of synonymous with Apple. And I think everyone has been very curious about what Apple has been doing, but also are going to do. So feel very privileged to have Dr. Vin Capone joining us today. Vin is I would call you like a Apple veteran in the learning and development, and you've been essentially looking at how can you use augmented reality for educators. Now we'd love to get your perspective on what's around the corner and what you're already doing. Please, over to you, Vin.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy to virtually see people from all over the world. I hope you and your families are all safe. I'm Vin Capone. I work in Apple's higher education sector, and I'm super excited to be here today. I'm coming to you from a secret Apple lab buried deep inside Apple Park. No, I'm just kidding. I'm in my basement, just like everyone else is. I've worked with EON Reality for a number of years on education and medical projects, and I'm personally a big fan of their work. So thanks so much for inviting me today. Augmented reality can transform the way we interact with our surroundings, enhancing how we work, learn, and connect with the world around us. AR places objects and content into the physical space, overlaying them on your field of view of the real world. It's different than virtual reality, which completely immerses you in virtual content, blocking out the real world. We believe at Apple that AR is going to change every industry, and we're already seeing evidence of that today. AR has become a powerful tool in the industry, like architecture, medicine, and in all over the enterprise space. And of course, in education, AR enables users to accomplish tasks in completely new ways and unlocks new learning experiences that connect students to the environment around them. In fact, there are about 10,000 AR apps available in the App Store today that have been built by over 7,000 different developers, and hundreds of millions of AR-enabled iPhones, iPads around the world. AR works on all phones, iPhones dating back to the first iPhone 6S, the latest iPod Touch, and any iPad from a few years. Combined, it makes iOS and iPadOS the world's largest AR platform. Apple's in a unique position because we both own the hardware and the software that powers AR. And this is really critical because augmented reality is one of the most computationally intensive use cases of iPhones and iPads. Taking information from the camera, combining that with data from the gyroscope, the GPS, the accelerometer, and using the power of the CPU and GPU from our chips together with more recent initiatives like LiDAR and the Apple Neural Engine to inform neural networks that help the camera understand the world around you. If you haven't checked out a new iPad or the new iPhones with LiDAR on them, your experience is in augmented reality is just going to be amazing. When it comes to education, Apple was founded on the idea that technology has the ability to unleash every individual's creative capacity. We spent 40 years delivering hardware and powerful apps to do just that. And with augmented reality, students can creatively express themselves in a whole new way. It allows for learning experiences that are otherwise impossible or impractical to accomplish. I'm just going to show you a quick video of from our website about augmented reality.
I've been making this game for Apple Arcade called Hot Lava. When Apple invited us out here to come look at their new technology, I was really excited. And we saw what we were going to be able to work with. My imagination just exploded. Bringing Hot Lava to AR was a no-brainer. The LiDAR scanner in the iPad Pro is this really amazing piece of technology that scans the room. It creates a complete picture of your environment, and you're able to then bring that into the virtual world and do anything you want with it. Everything in your real world is now an obstacle. You can create these truly engaging experiences. You don't have to worry about the technology. Your imagination is now the limiting factor.
Shaper 3D is a professional computer-aided design CAD system used by mechanical engineers, designers, and architects. So with a single tap, you can start scanning the environment. You can collect enough information that Shaper 3D can immediately convert to a two-dimensional floor plan. We can use that to create a 3D accurate representation of the space. You can start designing in that space. You can add objects, you can design new objects. You can project your design in AR and just walk into a new space that you have.
Movements in 3 dimensions, and then we use motion capture to identify which movement they're doing and measure that. We also have this wealth of 3D muscle animations that you can run alongside that measurement, and that will give you information about the primary muscles that are required to carry out that action. Complete Anatomy on the iPad has the potential to transform the medical community of the future.
IKEA is about inspiration. It's about being able to democratize the ability to do interior design. You can interact with your room by scanning it. When you start to do it, it starts to suggest stuff. It's actually cueing off what you already have. It sort of fools your brain into believing that something is there when it's not. The ability to be able to look at alternatives, you can actually start to flick through different looks and different feels. It's like a digital interior designer, and I can't wait to see what our customers are going to say when they see this, because it's just at another level.
I think we're going to see some really amazing experiences as a result of this technology. This is just like the tip of the iceberg.
So, in addition to creating really awesome devices for projecting augmented reality into your reality, we also have a new tool called Reality Composer. It's a really powerful tool that lets teachers, students, developers, and artists with zero 3D experience prototype and create augmented reality experiences. It has a library of high quality customizable objects for you to use, or you can import your own original assets. You can interact with your creation by adding animation and sounds, and that can be triggered by user taps, light, or proximity, as well as behaviors powered by physics simulations. I'm going to put the links for all this in the chat window, and we'll send them out to you automatically. So we'll show you those in just a second. But right now, I want to just show you a couple examples of augmented reality that I think are pretty interesting. And the first is off of our website, as I will just show you in 1 second. So some of you may have heard that we have a new iMac on the way. It comes in all these amazing colors, and it's going to be available on Friday. Now, I want to buy one of these, but I'm not sure which color I want. I think I like the blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scroll down here on the screen. I'm going to click View in AR, and I'm going to click it as an object. And so now you can see this beautifully rendered piece, the new iMac, in blue, and I can scroll around to see what the back looks like. I can zoom in. We have some really cool new features of this device, but I'm not sure how the blue is going to look in my office. So what I'm going to do now is click AR, and using LiDAR on my phone and surface detection and some of those things, it pops this new blue iMac onto my desk. I can come in here. I can take a look at the keyboard in more depth. Really cool things about the keyboard, and the mouse, and the color of the screen to see if it matches my room. I'm down here in my basement, so it, of course, looks much better than the basement does. But I'm going to pan around here, and you can see I can look at this from all different directions and angles and see how this will look in my environment. Real simple use of augmented reality to help you pick the right iMac for your room. That's one example that's just built using the pre-rendered file, and it displays on the web. So you don't need any special app to run that. You pull it up in your browser, you click on AR objects, and they can launch you into AR experiences. It's really pretty cool. The last thing I want to show you, I'm a pilot as well, and my love for aviation came from when I was a kid. I would stare up at the sky and I would see planes flying over, and I wasn't actually on an airplane until I was in my late 20s, just out of experience and stuff. But I always looked up at the sky and wondered where that plane was going, and now I want to show you something pretty cool. Hey everybody. So as a small kid, I used to look up at the sky and see airplanes going over, and that sort of sparked my love for aviation. This is an app called Flight Radar 24 that uses augmented reality to parse large data sets of real-time information. So in this case, these are the planes that are flying over my area right now. And this is radar data from the FAA. It's all live and in real time. And so I can check out different aircraft that are flying in different positions, and it'll tell me what flight that is. This is a flight from Fort Lauderdale to St. Louis, and it's flying overhead right now. One of the other cool things that I can do is if I click this augmented reality button right now, I can just tilt this up at the sky and find that there's the plane right there. Sorry, it's behind the trees over there, but that gives you an indication of what this is for. So it's a really cool use of the technology, I thought, that combines real-time data along with the camera, the accelerometer, and augmented reality to show you, to fulfill my lifelong dream of looking up at the sky and wondering where that plane is going. So that's an application available in the App Store called Flight Radar 24. Really cool use of the technology, I thought. The future, what's important is the future of AR and VR is here today, and we are just getting started. Thank you so much for having us on today. I'm excited to see what's next from EON Reality.
Thank you so much, Vin. This is super exciting. I think Apple clearly captured the imagination of educators around the world, and so did EON actually, and the ease of use of the platform. So as you probably know, EON has these educational organizations, partner organizations around the world. So let's hear some voices from around the world and what they're up to. Please, let's roll the testimonials.
Hello, I'm Dr. Jill Langen, Provost for Baker College, a private, not-for-profit institution with multiple campuses located throughout Michigan and online. Baker College recognizes that the way students learn today is ever-changing. Higher education institutions must move beyond passive, outdated learning experiences and provide students with powerful, immersive learning activities that allow them to form new, experience-based knowledge. With this goal in mind, we couldn't be happier to announce our partnership with EON XR, a global company focused on bringing augmented and virtual technologies to the masses. We see multiple benefits with the deployment of the EON XR platform for students, faculty, and the community. And our new Baker College Innovation Center will support all BC campuses and programs, providing students enhanced learning activities that augment and contextualize students' vision with information, sound, video, and graphics. Beginning in the fall of 2021, students in a variety of programs will have the opportunity to engage in extended reality experiences through this new and exciting partnership.
Hi everyone, my name is Eniola Adefioye. I am the Managing Director at the Tributary Initiative for Learning. We are a non-profit that is focused on improving TVET outcomes in Nigeria. We work with TVET centers to improve curriculum, training program, and delivery. We are very happy to be a part of the EON Reality family, and we're excited about the opportunity to set up an EON XR Center in Lagos, Nigeria. Through this partnership, the EON XR platform becomes accessible to students and faculties in TVET institutions in Nigeria to develop and share quality standardized lessons and local content to ensure students gain the required skills to be successful. We look forward to the enormous benefit the technology brings, as it ultimately supports the acceleration of vocational skills development and nurtures entrepreneurship in Nigeria. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Umesh from Jurong Digital Solutions, Singapore. We are very excited to be part of EON Reality family and to set up EON XR Center in Singapore. We are in oil and gas energy sector, have vast experience in this industry by serving major clients around Asia Pacific and Middle East region. We are convinced about advantages of use of EON XR platform to deploy specific contents and solutions that can improve safety and productivity by providing immersive training for maintenance workers and plant operators. With our experience, we see unique advantages for us to use EON XR platform for deploying content for regional consumption as well as for accessing global markets through platform and through EON's group. Happy to be part of EON's family.
And now over to perhaps what I think is the most smartest person I met in education, Mr. David Joffe at Harvard Business School. I also met him. He was on the board of HTC Vive. So let's have a look at the conversation me and David had earlier. Today we have a very exciting session for you today. We're going to talk about XR in education together with Professor David Joffe at Harvard Business School. David, welcome to this session. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into virtual reality?
Thanks, Recoil. I appreciate your inviting me to do this. I've been a professor at Harvard for 40 years, and I have been involved in a number of companies in the tech world over the last 30 years. So in addition to spending 29 years on the board of Intel, I joined the board of HTC 10 years ago. And HTC obviously has been one of the major players trying to spread the opportunities connected to VR, AR, and XR for the last several years, and that's been my primary connection. In addition, I've written a case that we teach at Harvard on HTC and virtual reality, as well as a couple of short cases on gaming in VR and enterprise applications in VR.
Excellent, fantastic, thank you, David. And I think I remember many years ago we were shipping a computer to get the first Vive up at your house as well. So you're very much averse. So what are your spontaneous thoughts when you mentioned both education and virtual reality in the same sentence? What are the things that you have seen, or what are the things that you think are opportunities ahead?
The great opportunity for education is to take advantage of the immersive nature of the experience. And of course, when we talk about education, you really have to divide it into a lot of different categories, because K through 12 is very different from university education, it's very different from graduate education, and it's very different from more practitioner-oriented schools, whether it be medicine or law or even business. And the uses are going to be quite different, and the opportunities are also going to be different in each of those categories. So, when I think of K through 12, for example, the big upside is the ability to see things in 3 dimensions that you just can't get from a traditional multimedia experience, and be able to really get an understanding of a certain set of phenomena that just wouldn't be possible in a regular 2D world. The most obvious example that we use all the time is if you want to teach people about ancient Egypt and you want to see the pyramids, showing them pictures is a very different experience than actually exploring a pyramid, going inside, being able to look around in 3 dimensions, and you'll get a much deeper understanding and hopefully a better comprehension of that experience. In university, I think it's a little bit different. At the university level, there are more opportunities to start thinking about applications in areas like the sciences. At Harvard, we have been actually doing some experiments with virtual reality in chemistry, chemistry teaching. As you can imagine, the ability to be able to conceptualize different compounds and molecules, be able to rotate them, be able to see them in different ways. And that, at least in theory, can give you an opportunity to get hopefully a better insight or deeper understanding into how it works. At the graduate level, we haven't yet figured out how to use it, to be honest. So we're still trying to look at the possibilities. The primary challenge at the moment is cost. It is also not just the direct cost of buying the equipment. Support costs are very high. The bandwidth requirements are very high. Again, some of these things hopefully will change with 5G and new emerging technologies. And lastly, you do need specialized applications, especially as you get into more advanced topics. To do a VR experience in a pyramid or a museum, that's actually relatively low cost to be able to deliver. To be able to do a 3D picture of a molecule or to see things in physics, that actually requires a lot more specialized preparation and applications, and that is something that there's interest in, but still hesitancy in putting the investment dollars in.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So what's your take on this? I mean, you and I were were there in the early days of VR. We always thought that the promise of education was an important one and maybe the end goal rather than gaming. But now with the COVID and global pandemic, and of course, big hit on education and especially higher ed, I can imagine. Do you think this could be a new start for VR and XR, or do you think that it's actually slowing it down?
I don't know that it's a new start or slowing it down, to be honest, because I think that the primary constraints remain cost and getting a set of applications that will drive aggressive usage of the product. And until we get a big enough installed base, which won't happen until we get the cost down, we're not going to get the applications that will drive usage. On the other hand, I think what we've learned in the last year with COVID is that remote learning is problematic, especially in K through 12 and to a lesser extent in university, because people are too easily distracted, and it requires parents to be engaged and or some oversight, particularly of younger kids. And the big advantage of VR, if we can figure out a way to make it work, is it's immersive. It captures the attention of the student. There should be fewer distractions. It should lead to an improved learning experience, but it does require a lot of bandwidth, which has a challenge potentially for the digital divide. I mean, we see that even with traditional Zoom type teaching, that we have some students for which it's really easy, and a lot of other students who just can't even get the bandwidth to do 10 megabits. And right, with 10 megabits, I'm not going to do very, very high quality VR. So we've got to be able to solve the digital divide problem and these infrastructure and cost problems. But I think if we do, it does enable the potential for a much better experience with remote learning.
Yeah. So let's dive into this challenge with cost. So So EON Reality has this platform where you very easily can, as an educator, create your own classes, classroom, bring in that chemistry example that you have with the molecules so you can really sort of see it. I'm on a board with another company called Health Scholars, which essentially does certified educations for first responders. So in the one case, it's kind of do-it-yourself, zero programming. In the other case, it's highly prescripted. You need to kind of get the course kind of certified. What do you think? Do you think that educators, both where you're now, but also throughout the from K-12, so to speak, do you think that educators will embrace this if it's kind of a zero programming, essentially the new kind of PowerPoint, if you like? Do you think educators will kind of embrace this tool and understand how to use it?
My wife teaches in our local high school, and so she's had an opportunity to try the HTTP Live and get a sense of how it might work. And I just was talking with her about this, and I think she would love to be able to do it, but she doesn't see any possibility of the school system, even in a wealthy community where I live, being able to invest in this kind of technology at the current cost and support requirements.
Yeah.
So,
and when you say cost, now you mean the devices, right?
Device and support.
Yeah.
Part of the problem is you have to teach teachers how to use it. Even if you say it's like the new PowerPoint, guess what? You had to teach teachers how to use PowerPoint when it came out 30 years ago. It took a long time for it to make its way into education. When we look at adopting any new technology at Harvard, the support costs are almost always equal to or sometimes greater than the cost of the actual equipment that we buy.
Yeah, that makes sense. So on the devices then, so EON, I think I mentioned to you earlier, was that they provide the lectures so that they can be consumed in fully immersive virtual reality, but you can also look through an iPad or a mobile phone to look at that chemistry model, so it's kind of how it works. Do you think that AR has a place as a complement in some educational situation? Because at some point the VR headset will be able to switch from fully immersive to see-through, so to speak. But I was just thinking, maybe as a first step, using phones and tablets, do you think that has potential?
Well, if we haven't seen a lot of activity this year, because this was the year in which almost every conceivable version of remote teaching has been tried somewhere, I would say that I'd be a little more skeptical. Because we're never going to have another period, I hope, where you're literally going to have 100% of students K through 12 at home trying to do remote learning.
Yeah.
So now, on the other hand, again, I'll come back to the cost constraints and the digital divide. Even when you're dealing with iPads or phones, that still has severe limitations for a certain segment of the population that you've got to be able to solve.
Yeah.
Now, in the longer term, again, I think that the cost of the equipment should come way down, number one. Number two, one of the challenges we have with VR, as you know well, is just the discomfort of the headset and the weight. And, for me personally, it's okay for a little while, but after a while, it just begins to be annoying. So until we not only get the cost down, but get the comfort level up, the weight down, make it so that it is brain dead simple, as I like to say, that you have to be able to very easily connect to the right applications without jumping through hoops. And today, when I go on a VR chat session, it takes me 20 minutes just to get set up. That's not gonna work in education.
No.
For education, it's got to be instantaneous, instant on, and it's got to automatically be going directly to the content.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think, but I think actually when I moved away from PC VR, so you connect it to your PC, which of course is also even more costly, to the new standalone devices that we have from Oculus Quest and a lot of the Asian manufacturers, I do think that you have, as you said, more of that kind of Netflix. You turn on your TV and you're kind of there right away, and you're ready to play, and you're not bound by the PC. I do think that probably is going to make it much more attractive in education for sure.
It should, as long as the user interface enables you to get directly to the application you want instantaneously. Like you can a television, I hit a clicker. With VR, it's still a little more complicated. I can imagine in the not too distant future a variety of ways with hand gestures and other things that we should be able to make it more instant on-like, more like a television. But again, we're not there today. The other thing that my wife reminded me of in K through 12 is kids are not very careful with equipment that you give them. And so you also need to be able to maintain this equipment and collect it and make sure it's kept in good order. So for K through 12, that will continue to be a little bit of a challenge until the prices get very, very cheap. Universities, it's probably a little bit more manageable. Students are a little bit more dependable and reliable.
So essentially, just to paraphrase what you're saying, is that because there's a lot of enthusiastic educators watching our talk here, is essentially to come up with a program where you are not only have financing. I do think that there are some educational grants out there that you could tap into, but it's really thinking through how do you train the trainer, so to speak. How do you make sure that you have a great experience in the headset and applications? And then I guess if you have some of these enthusiasts and they start creating things and it catches fire like Khan Academy did in the day, then it has potential. So let me ask you a final question. So if you think a few years ahead, I know you're a strategy professor, and you're kind of skating where the puck is going. Where do you see this going in, I don't know, 5 years or so? Do you think this is still going to be the same thing, or will we hit some sort of inflection point for education, do you think?
Well, I think there are two big opportunities over the next 5 years that will be enabled by improvements in the technology. One is AR. I think that rather than thinking about this today like as primarily a remote educational experience, once we get into an XR or particularly AR technology that we can literally use instantaneously in a classroom, that enables us to start imagining whole new ways of running a class. Of how can I broadcast certain kinds of information? There'll be a digital overlay over whatever it is I'm doing. And that actually could have changed the whole profession of teaching in some ways if we can find creative ways to do it. The second thing I would say is once we get a large enough installed base in the educational community, the hope is we'll create a real platform and we'll then start to proliferate applications and not just a lecture. That's not what I'm talking about. If you really want to make this work, you're going to need thousands, maybe even millions of applications, as you said, like Khan Academy, or what the apps on an iPhone. There's 2.3 million apps on an iPhone today. That gives you enormous flexibility to be able to pick and choose what you need, what you want, how to use it. And if I think what the possibility is for AR, VR, and XR over the next 5 years, it's that ability to create a real platform with a large enough installed base that drives a massive amount of new creative energy built around creative applications, hopefully in numbers that enable an educator to pick and choose different types of things that fit their particular students and their particular demands.
Excellent. Thank you so much, David, for sharing your wisdom and your insights. Much appreciated. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it, Richard. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that was really a great conversation. And I do believe that at Harvard very soon, you will be learning business, you will be learning law, you'll be learning negotiations, presentation skills, and math in VR and AR very soon. But it will take you guys as educators to kind of who knows the subjects and learn about technology and bring the two together. So let's look at some more of the partner organizations from around the world. Let's hear some more voices.
We are the Central University of Technology, Free State. We have 2 campuses in South Africa, one in Bloemfontein, and one in Welkom. We are excited to be a part of the EON Reality family and to set up an EON XR Center in Bloemfontein. The EON XR platform will benefit our students, staff, and community in many ways. Not only will it provide remote access to education, but it will allow us to broaden our content scope.
Hi everyone, my name is Karina Angeleva and I'm Deputy Minister of Education and Science of Republic of Bulgaria. For me, it's a great honor to announce that we became part of the global EON Academic Virtual Reality Network. It's amazing because we just set up a XR Center in Burgas City on the Black Sea coast. I do believe that now we will boost our academic and university research and innovation capacity, and we will bring the digital skills our modern society needs in this time.
Hi everyone, I am Maher Nachi, President of Najah National University, which is located in Nablus, Palestine. We couldn't be more happier to be part of the EON Reality and to set up EON XR Center at our new campus. We see multiple benefits with the deployment of EON XR platform for our student, faculty, and community. In particular, we look forward to develop local content in new programs and in new IP. It's also give us a tremendous opportunity to share this content with the EON Reality community. We are really very excited to be part of the EON global community, and we look forward to strengthen the relation in the future. Thank you.
It's just amazing to hear all these voices, how educators around the world are embracing this. One of the devices that captured the world's imagination, and especially mine, has been Magic Leap. So we're going to have a conversation with Peggy Johnson, who's the CEO of Magic Leap. But before we do that, just to have a quick introduction on what you can do with Magic Leap and the EON platform, let's have a quick look at this video.
EON XR is now available on the incredible spatial computing platform Magic Leap. This quick start video guide will help new users get started creating and experiencing immersive learning content using a free account on EON XR and your Magic Leap headset. First, we're going to head over to the Magic Leap World Store. Select Search and input EON XR. Next, we'll select Download to install the EON XR application. This is our public library of immersive learning lessons. We can browse by selecting Forward and Back, and we can launch any lesson simply by selecting it. Once inside a lesson, we can explore the subject matter and digest the contextual information and media added by the lesson creator. EON XR lessons can have built-in animations showing the various ways our subject matter can move. We can turn these on or off by selecting the animation button. We can also explode the model and point to its various components to learn what they are. We can use the cross-section tool to peer into it from any angle. We can also watch videos added by the lesson creator. Using the 3D recording button, we can listen and follow along as the lesson creator explains a concept or performs an operation. Members can also launch EON XR meetings using Magic Leap. This allows multiple colleagues or students to collaborate, converse, and explore the same content in real time, whether in the same room or remotely. Using Magic Leap and EON XR, educators and enterprises can now create and distribute educational and training content in a spatial computing experience like never before.
Super exciting. And I think one of the things I like the most with this is that you can collaborate multiple people at the same time. So it's a truly immersive experience. But one of the leaders is, of course, Peggy Johnson. She is the CEO of Magic Leap, and we had a very interesting fireside chat earlier. So let's have a quick look. We're here today to have a fireside chat with Peggy Johnson, CEO of Magic Leap. Welcome, Peggy.
Thanks, Ricard. Thanks so much for having me.
Great to have you here. Tell us a little bit about, in the audience today, we have a lot of educators, but you have a long background when it comes to XR and VR and AR. Could you give a little bit of introduction to yourself and also how do you got into this thing?
Sure. So Magic Leap is what's known as a spatial computing company, and we're essentially building the next generation of computing platform. And we're doing that to provide deeper, kind of more immersive human experiences. And essentially, we have the ability through a headset to augment your view of the physical world around you. And we do this by bringing your physical world together with your digital world so that you can view them as one. And it's actually a highly complex kind of technology, augmented reality is. And our goal is just to build the most useful and usable AR platform in the world. And I think it can have a tremendous opportunity to impact the way that we educate and train. I think it can actually be quite groundbreaking.
Yeah. So when I know you're interested in education. So when you think about your daily work, working with Magic Leap and using spatial computing, and then you think about education for our kids and the workforce, and essentially we're all lifelong learners. Where do you see the big potential in education and XR when you think about the two concepts together?
Yeah, and I think what we saw just in the past year was a bit of a breakdown in our education infrastructure, from kindergarten to college and even non-traditional learning institutions like vocational schools and museums. They were just all disrupted, obviously, by the pandemic and this move to remote learning. So I think it's incredibly important that we continuously seek to build and bolster our educational systems with new ways of learning that can enrich that experience. And I think we all just need to really safeguard those systems against disruptions like COVID. That one kind of caught us all by surprise. But, when I think about just my own education, it's deeply personal to me, because when I think about how I got here, learning institutions that I attended along the way were simply critical to the trajectory of my own career. So I am one of a family of 15 kids. So that's one. Yeah. It's kind of crazy, I know. It was a blended family, two families, but we basically all grew up together. And, if I hadn't had the scholarship opportunities that were available to me and to my family, or the strong women leaders from my Catholic school upbringing, basically also better known as nuns, who supported my interest in math and science. And, they didn't think it was weird that a young girl liked math and science. I felt very comfortable there, but I just wouldn't be where I was today. So the point being that education is just so critical because it just changes the trajectory of kids' lives. And I worry about our kids learning in today's pandemic environment. And I just think it's incumbent upon all of us to bring them the tools that they need to learn in any environment. The same way that we bring technical tools to businesses, we need to make sure that we're doing the same for our educational institutions. So it's deeply personal to me.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, what's important to me, I think, is that, I've seen some studies where the more senses that you use, the higher the recall. So it's, we all have, book is great, but the picture says 1,000 words, but then we're living in sort of YouTube Khan Academy, where everyone can have the best teacher. And now actually you can actually go in and not only have multiple senses, but you can actually work with your body. You get kind of muscle memory of doing an operation or handling a car or whatever. What are some of the things that you guys have been seeing on the Magic Leap side in terms of actually having higher recall when it comes to learning through spatial computing?
Well, I think you're spot on, and it's sort of, the pandemic was such a catalyst for that learning. We were thinking about it, but we then had the opportunity to actually test it in real life, what using these devices did for recall. And I think remote learning in general just forced a lot of educators to look for new ways to teach virtually. But most remote learning technology is just repurposing existing 2D video conferencing. Thank goodness we had it. I think or we would have really been stuck. But those platforms really weren't designed for education from the ground up, but we made them work, as I said. But I think they kind of lack that collaboration that you get with in-person meetings, and just engaging people where you can see them eye to eye. You can hear them walk around a room. There's something about those senses that really make a learning environment come to life. Where what we're doing now is a little 2D, it's a little flat. And if we thought about, well, can AR actually augment other senses in that environment? So we did see firsthand the impact that AR can have on remote curriculum. In fact, we've worked with a number of institutions since the pandemic started, really to increase the student and employee engagement, their concentration, their learning, their productivity. And there have been some studies in the market that have found that 88% of students that actually preferred these training programs, they call it XR, or mixed reality, to traditional learning forms. And it also came with about a 50% increase in task performance. And then probably not insignificant, about a 93% reduction in cost. So the case for spatial computing is high, and the development is compelling. We learned a lot. We worked, as I said, with universities. We worked with UW up near my old home in Washington State, University of Washington. And they have an AR/VR capstone course where, I would say they used to use augmented reality and virtual reality in the classroom. And this time they explored what it meant for the technology to be the classroom. So they incorporated Magic Leap spatial, our wearables, into the class. And, the students not only had access to the hardware that enabled them to develop on the platform, but it gave them an opportunity to virtually collaborate with each other and, kind of try to replicate that in-person classroom. And, the spatial audio is great when you're all in a room, like the one behind me. And I have other members of my team here. If they walk behind me, I hear them walk behind me. When they look at me, because we have cameras on your eyes, I see them look at me. So there's a feeling, like an emotional attachment that you get that's kind of missing in these 2D environments that we're dealing with now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think one of the things you mentioned is that it's complex technology, so the hardware is of course expensive, but also training. You mentioned that there is a cost saving opportunity because if you have to bring everyone in the room, it's travel, etc. And I also know that when you work with EON, you essentially have this platform where educators can kind of create their own classroom experiences, bring 3D elements in, so it becomes a saving to sort of create the content, because creating content is always expensive. But I think that you and EON are working on putting together some sort of package for educators. Could you talk a little bit about what are you doing to make it even more available?
Yeah, because we at Magic Leap aren't experts in education. We want to work with the experts in education. So the educators who we're starting to talk with have just been coming up with some amazing ideas and making learning come to life. Whether it's they're teaching biology or healthcare or elements of space and rockets. It all can come to life in these 3D images. So we've been working with EON, and we're going to incorporate a new program for the webinar attendees where we're offering $1,000 off of our Magic Leap 1 device to attendees, and it'll come bundled with EON Reality's SaaS software. So we want to put that combo in the hands of educators so that they can do what they do best, which is innovate in education. And it's an open platform. There's an SDK. We've got a team, a dev relations team at Magic Leap that can help them onboard to the platform. And we're looking forward to what these innovative educators can build, because I believe, will be the start of really a change and a pivot in how we teach when remote is all we have access to. And by the way, another thing is, the more we can do in this area, the more we can access communities who maybe for whatever reason can't attend in person in a classroom. Now, from wherever a child or student is in the world, they can have access to, a course on space, and the rocket is in their living room. And that's the sort of environment and solution that we are looking forward to working with educators to bring to life.
Yeah, I can imagine myself going into space class and having Elon Musk in 3D telling us about how to construct rockets. I would love that.
Right.
But I think you're right. I mean, the pandemic have created a change in society where, of course, people don't even go to Stanford, Berkeley, Harvard. They don't want to be on campus. So higher ed is, of course, having a big problem. But also all these little bit more hands-on educational teaching nurses or younger K-12. So I do think that it seems to me that XR, AR and VR that you and I have been working for so long, and we've seen the promise, but it's always taking longer than we expect. If you were to make a prediction, not too far in the future, but maybe 5 years, what do you think we will see in education when it comes to XR? Where do you see the breakthroughs will happen?
Well, I think something that we were just involved in kind of tells the story of where we're going. We just recently worked with UC Davis and one of our partners, our software partners called Brain Lab. And we worked together with them on this operation that they were doing, highly complex operation. It was to separate some conjoined twins at the UC Davis healthcare facilities. And basically, the twins were conjoined at the brain. And Brain Lab has already for years been turning MRIs and CAT scans into 3D images. And they've integrated to the Magic Leap platform. They started with PCs and laptops and things, and then they've now integrated to our platform. And that team trained on the operation. It's a 30-person surgical team. And from wherever they were, they could be together and basically look at that conjoined brain, walk around it. It can expand, as big as you'd like. The surgeons that were going to be involved in it explain the surgical pathways they hope to take. In fact, they used that model to plan those surgical pathways and then to share it with that team. So everybody knew it was happening from all angles. You could walk around the brain. And the surgery was successful. And when you think about the fact that is a type of training, pre-surgical planning is a type of training. You're going to do A, then B, then C, and everybody in the operating room needs to know what the sequence of events are. And that happens every day in every hospital around the world. And I think that is the sort of thing that translates well into any type of training, whether it's cars or rockets or brains. And that's the hope then, that we will be training in this way where the environment that we'll actually be working in comes to life.
Yeah. No, I think it's spot on. I was just working with some sports companies, and then of course if you're the quarterback training for doing that throw or whatever it is, and you need to do it 10,000 times, of course you can't expect the team to be on the field just for you to do your stuff. But then as you said, brain surgery, and probably Elon is doing experiments on his rockets, things that you can't do at all because you need to be in space or you need to be in a live situation in surgery. So now you can actually do things you couldn't do before as well. So I think it's both those, the repetition and the things that you couldn't do.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But Peggy, this is super exciting. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for bringing your technology to educators around the world. Great to have you on the event. Thank you.
Thanks, Ricard. Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, so that's very exciting to see. My name is Dan Leoskar. I'm the chairman and founder of EON Reality. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today. I'm thrilled about to hear all those great ideas, and I'm even more thrilled about all the participants from around the globe. Harvard professor highlighted a few very important things. One of them being the difficulty to develop the content. And we have addressed and solved that problem with EON XR by making a no-code environment. The other problem highlighted was lack of devices, or the devices being too clumsy or not being yet there. We have addressed that by having more than 4 billion devices, from a phone to anywhere, anything, PC, Mac, agnostically using this. And then he addressed a very important part, which is cost. And of course, we work a lot with the cost and how we can reduce that cost even further. And we are thrilled over Peggy's offer to have to all the participants $1,000 off on the Magic Leap device when you buy it together with EON. So I think that's very exciting. But I'm even pushing the limit beyond that. You will see that Ethiopia is using this, Ghana is using this, places in Honduras are using this. So, and they're using it not one or two, they start at 5,000, 6,000 students. So we are pushing, and the reason we can do that is we push the cost to make it available, accessible, and affordable for everybody on the planet. So thank you. I'll come back a little bit later chatting about where we take this.
So thank you, Dan. So what we're going to do now is we're going to listen to a few more voices, and then we're going to come back to Dan. So let's travel around the world together.
Hi, Stefano Merante, TVET Skills Development Program Officer at the International Training Center of the ILO in Turin. We couldn't be happier to be part of the EON XR family. We see multiple benefits in the deployment of the EON XR platform that we are using to train TVET teachers and TVET managers all around the world to implement their training activities.
Hello there, and greetings from Central University, Ghana. My name is Emil Apeño and I am the registrar. We are very happy to be joining EON Reality in implementing this digital transformation project. We have looked for a very long time to using augmented and virtual reality in helping to teach and to learn in this university. And this is an opportunity that we are not going to miss. We look forward to a great implementation. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Luz Longsworth, Principal and Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies Open Campus, based in Barbados, but with locations in 16 Caribbean countries. We couldn't be happier to be a part of the EON Reality family and to set up an EON XR Center in our campus site in Trinidad and Tobago. We see multiple benefits with the deployment of the EON XR platform for our students, faculty, and community. In particular, we look forward to developing local content, new programs, and new IP. It also gives us a tremendous opportunity to share this content in the EON global community and marketplace. We are excited about becoming a part of the EON Reality's global academic community for remote learning and look forward to the growth and development of this relationship in the future. Thank you.
Hi there, my name is David Berg. I am Director of Technology for Big Picture Learning. We are really excited about our new partnership with EON Reality as we launch a new tool and product to help us advance our mission. Big Picture is a nonprofit organization that has over 60 schools affiliated with it around the United States and hundreds overseas. We focus on really innovative high school design that enables students to personalize their learning and do learning out in the real world. EON is a super helpful tool for us to help students to personalize their learning, to develop projects and prototypes, and to coordinate their work in real-world learning contexts with mentors. We're super excited for this, and thanks.
Hello. So I hope you can hear me. I'd like to say a few words. First of all, we didn't have a chance to share videos from all the locations around the world. It's been overwhelming. The pandemic has really fostered a growth in this area. Just to mention a few that we couldn't share: Mississippi Gulf Coast College, Hines Community College in the United States, and many other locations from National University in Singapore, etc., Monash University. I would also like to say a few words regarding the equalizing effect that I've been privileged to experience in this sector. For example, we see now places on Earth that we never thought will embrace XR that quickly. We've seen that there is a hunger for using experiential learning, and that hunger has increased during the last period. Pandemic for us had an 819% increase in usage, which was inconceivable just a year or so ago. We also believe that knowledge is a human right. We think that that's a very important part of our philosophy. And I'm so glad to see that it's been embraced by so many partners. I was hoping, and still hope, that we can get John Guerra to talk a little bit about where the future is going. Not only is John a visionary and innovator, but he has also a lot of insights, and he's helping now us to put together the platform of the future. So if you think 9.0 was exciting, wait until you see version 10.0. Okay, so times for questions, any questions that you may have. I've been diligent trying to answer as many as I could during the session. And
so I'll ask you some questions. I think I've seen the chat here. So people are wondering, how do they get in contact with EON to do a partnership? What's the best way?
The best way is to just go to our website. There's a contact, click on that, and you'll get an email and receive it. If you want to get in touch with me, it's very simple, dan@eonreality.com. So easy to remember.
Excellent. And there was a lot of people asking about how could I get the presentation, or perhaps even the video that's we're recording today?
We are capturing the whole session. We'll also capture perhaps the session with John that we were supposed to do maybe offline and put together. You should receive it in the next 24 hours. You'll receive an email with it. We'll also have it in portions, and it'll be available on our YouTube site as well as our website.
Yeah. It was an interesting question from Ali Amor here. He basically asked, do we have any materials so that, you know, if you're a passionate educator and you want to essentially sell this to your school or the board, is there any material that these educators who feel passionate about this can use? Can you help?
Absolutely. I mean, there's many ways. We have a resource center. So if you go to our website, you can click on that. People like visuals. So there's a channel, a YouTube channel called EON Reality. There's thousands of videos there. There's also presentation under our event session that you can see webinars in different topics in education.
Yeah. Someone has, Leah asked, you know, when you implement EON Reality, how does it work? Is it like the school subscribing, or could you subscribe as a teacher? You know, do you have to buy or download? How does it like work very shortly?
Yes, it works quite well. The easiest way to do this is to log in today to our website and get a freemium version that allows you to experience the platform and also allows you to create up to 5 lessons with no cost. And that you can do as a student or as individual teachers and whatever. You can normally, once there is an interest, we typically engage with the school and organization. At the moment, we have the ability to work individually, but we prefer to work with an academic institution.
Yeah. Someone asked here, like these assets that you have, we understand you have a lot of assets, which is great, so you can kind of create your lessons. But are there any like pre-made lectures or modules, or could you share something if you have created it?
Yes. I mean, first of all, we have to my knowledge, the world's largest library for virtual and augmented reality with access to more than 1.1 million XR assets. These are building blocks, and 95% of the content that you'll find are produced by the organization itself. Most of them have the option, prefer to publish this, not only on their institution, but also on the open site. They can do it for free or for a fee. So you'll find thousands of applications developed. On average, we've seen that one single institution can do as many as 2,000 applications within 2-3 months, as we've seen during the pandemic. And every morning I wake up, we see more and more applications from across the world.
Yeah. Some people are asking here, like, how do students consume these lessons? Is it through like Magic Leap or virtual reality or iPads or PCs? You said earlier, and I don't think everyone noticed that you can actually consume this through any device, which sounds kind of impossible. Can you explain a little bit?
Yeah, let me be very specific. So you can, there's 4 billion people that have some type of smart device. If you have a device that's 3-4 years old, not much older than that, you can use EON XR and have a very good experience. So it's available for that, whether it's Apple, whether it's Samsung, Android, iOS, a PC, a laptop, a tablet, or any of those more, I would say, sophisticated devices. Our vision and what we're doing is democratizing XR. You know, it was so funny to listen to the professor for Harvard. He's a great professor and a lot of admiration. And I agree with him on the problems he identified. The slight difference between me and him is that finally, after being in this business for 36 years, it's happening. We are walking the talk, and people are embracing this from all corners of the world. So we don't have to wait 5 years, 3 years, 2 years. It's here now.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much, Dan. And I think we're going to say thank you to everyone who joined this awesome webinar as well. It's going to make it public. We'll probably cut out the technical glitches, but please get in contact with Dan and EON Reality and do as Dan suggested, the freemium version, so you can kind of try it out and get excited about it. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining today.
See you. Bye.
Thank you.